Going, everybody. Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sunday, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley, 10 in Pacific, 1 Eastern. And it is Monday here on the show, and you know what that means. Lots to talk about, coming and going. We got Raw tonight, NXT tomorrow, Dynamite on Wednesday. We got a WWE PLE coming up on Saturday, the Clash of the Castle. And, of course, Forbidden Door coming up at the end of the month. And we saw a bunch of stuff happening this weekend. NXT Battleground took place last night. We had the Collision show, the SmackDown show, and a bunch of news as well. What's going on with Ricochet? Likely leaving WWE. We'll tell you about that here today. Plus, Cody Rhodes possibly appearing for tomorrow's NXT show. We had a Dominion pay-per-view over the weekend. Jon Moxley retained the IWGP Heavyweight title in the actually semi-main event because they allowed the fans to vote. What do you want to see in the main event? Do you want to see the evil Jon Moxley match, or do you want to see the Best of the Super Juniors finale? Now, the fans voted for the Best of the Super Juniors finale. So, Desperado beat Taiji Ishimori to win the Best of the Super Juniors for the first time ever. We got a bunch of matches coming up for future New Japan shows and more for Forbidden Door as well. So, a lot to get into here today. And in the final segment, Vinnie Pacifico returns to the show here today. We'll talk to him about New Japan and a bunch of other subjects as well. If you want to text us, 425-780-7566. That is 425-780-7566. F4W Online at gmail.com. I'm also at F4W Online, F4W Online, on Threads, Instagram, and Cameo. Father's Day is coming. What better gift than a cameo from me? At Bryan Alvarez on Twitter. Back in a moment. Observer Live.
Corey Lee with the Wrestling Observer. I do want to talk about the main event tonight with Sting's final match. I just wanted to kind of just get your thoughts on Sting's retirement. Obviously, you had a feud with him in TNA over the TNA World Title. Had a couple great matches with him, and just kind of reflect a little bit about your history with Sting and what he means to this business and this company.
You know, I've known Sting as a rival, as a friend. You know, outside the ring as a confidant, somebody who has been a steady and sobering voice during a lot of chaotic situations throughout my career. Aside from that, for 40 years, Sting has elicited emotions from crowds around the world that most wrestlers could only hope they would achieve. And I think that tonight, how much love he received, how many people showed out for his final appearance, and how much we here at AEW appreciate his contributions to this company. To be a man like Sting, to have the legacy and the legendary status that you do, and still show up here and give that 110%, and still try to build a new company, and still give of himself physically and mentally at a very high level. It speaks to his character, it speaks to who he is as a human being, and it speaks to the legacy that he deserves to be celebrated tonight.
2 more questions? Scott Fishman, TV Insider. You being the AEW World Champion, you're seen as the leader, like a face of the company. How would you kind of describe the vibe right now backstage in the locker room and the working relationship that you all have? It's been a turbulent couple months last year, but it seems like things are a little steady right now. So kind of how would you kind of describe the feeling that you have backstage?
I think you summed it up perfectly. That was last year. And I mean, this is the AEW underneath my reign. And as far as our locker room community and stuff, I don't think it's ever been tighter. I don't think it's ever been better. There's an enthusiasm backstage that is infectious, and it's because we have so much new burgeoning talent. We have so many new opportunities to go out there and entertain the crowd with the people that we have at our disposal. That there's just genuine excitement among the locker room, and I think. It's been a long time since this spirit has been felt here, and I'm very much looking forward to where this leads us in the future.
Last question for Joe.
All right, cowards, cool. All right, I'm good.
Samoa Joe, our AEW World Champion, everybody. Thank you so much for your time, Joe.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. We're going to talk about the NXT PLE last night in a moment, but a couple of things first. Some news. TNA announced several live events and TV tapings for the summer. June 14th and 15th in Chicago, June 28th, 29 at the former ECW Arena, June 20 and 21 in Quebec, August 2nd and 3rd in Tampa, August 30 and 31st in Louisville, September 13th and 14th in Cleveland, and they announced a Bound for Glory location, and I quote, one of the most visited cities in the world.
What? So it could be in Mecca? I mean, like, what does this mean?
Sounds to me like Las Vegas is what it sounds like to me.
Dubai?
Sounds like Las Vegas is what it means to me.
But in that case, will it be in a new building? I mean, why wouldn't you just say that then, considering that they've
Well, they
run
probably
Las
have to get a
Vegas?
building.
Well, because they've run several times at the, oh God, what is it? I forget the name of the building they've been running at, but where they've been running some of their shows at the beginning of this year and then at the end of last year.
Well, all I know is that some people have been concerned about the future of TNA because so many people left and they clearly were in cost-cutting mode, and then there were 0 shows announced for the summer. But now you can all rest easy if you're a fan of TNA. They have announced dates. It is continuing on.
Maybe WWE can buy it and then turn around and flip it to the Saudis as part of their whole sports washing thing and make some money off of it.
Why wouldn't the Saudis just buy it if they wanted it?
I don't know. You have an intermediary where WWE can get something out of the deal besides Ash by Elegance.
All right.
Why is it, I was surprised, let me just throw this in there before you move on. Surprised it's not Natalya taking that open challenge against Jordan Grace and her open earlobe after Saturday.
Yeah, she got all cut up around the ear.
See how?
No.
Oh, okay, well, when if you go back and rewatch, Roxanne Perez in her fishnets or stockings or whatever she had on there, at some point rubbed up against Jordan Grace's ear. And that's Jordan Grace's earring that got then stuck. So that sucks. I don't have any piercings, but getting something ripped out of one can't be good.
All right. Well, last night was that NXT show.
Welcome back.
Last night was the NXT show, and I had a lot of thoughts about it. There were two things. It was a show, but it was also a show in the Apex, and I think there were people that disliked the Apex a lot more than I did. I do feel that if you're running TV every single week in the same building, that would be... You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
What happened?
Where'd I drop off at?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention, so it's hard to tell. No, you finish your sentence and you died. Anyway, I feel that if you're running a...
I hope my life is like that.
I
just want to get that last word in.
I think if they're running, a certain building every single week for their TV, I mean, it's hard when you go somewhere else for the big blow-off. Because all the fans that are there every week are like, they're invested in the characters, they're invested in the storylines and everything, and then you take it away from them. Now, if you're taking it away from them to run a, 12,000-seat building on a WrestleMania weekend, well, that's cool. You got to expect that. But when you move, like you're already running like a 500-seat building or whatever, and then it's time for the big show, and you move it to a different 500-seat building 2,000 miles away. I watched it, and it felt to me like this was not really an NXT crowd. They had 700 people in there. They comped 400, media, UFC people, and et cetera, et cetera. And then the remaining tickets were like, $250 or something like that. I had a friend who the day of the show, they were like, should I go to the NXT show? And I was like, sure, it's probably going to be fun. They were like, it's $250 for the Apex. They didn't go. So there was a deal where, like, if you paid for these, expensive VIP tickets, you did get some food and stuff like that. But still, it's like people there insist that it was an NXT crowd. But, brother, I watched it with my own two eyes. Like, it just wasn't. I mean, they didn't get into it nearly like they get into it at the Performance Center. And it's not like you put an extra 10,000 people in there. I think the show would have been miles and miles better at the WWE Performance Center with the WWE people filming and the WWE fans there and the whole 9 yards. I mean, that's my thought about the Apex. I think that they're going to run again. They're probably going to try to run more frequently. I'm sure they probably think, well, you got to do it, and you got to keep doing it, and you got to build it up. First time's always going to be the first time or whatever. But I do not think that the initial run at the UFC Apex I could consider a success.
I don't know if they were looking for a home run. I think they just wanted to be solidly on base, and they did that. I'm sure they had big expectations when they put the tickets on sale and everything, but this to me felt like, okay, a bunch of people are coming in a couple hours away from LA, and they want to come see this thing, a bunch of people from Endeavor, and you get a bunch of UFC people and this and that, and there's no way it could have been a pure NXT crowd because, number one, you priced a lot of people out of it, and number two, you had all those other people that were coming in late and leaving early because they just wanted to be there for the first event at UFC Apex. That's what it was about. It was about everything other than really professional wrestling except for what was going on in the ring. And it was, to me, to set up coming back with them in the future for a WWE show, branded show, that they can make special and have really high ticket prices for. And I think that's kind of what it was. And I think production-wise, you could see they kind of worked out the kinks because, as you mentioned, it wasn't their regular crew doing it. So I think they probably accomplished their goals as far as what they want to do moving forward. But you're exactly right. The show absolutely would have been better at the Performance Center where there was a lot more familiarity with all of these people.
I will say that I thought it was a largely good show, particularly the middle portion of the show. Kalani Jordan won the ladder match to become the first NXT Women's North American Champion. Beat Sol Ruka, Lash Legend, Fallon Henley, Jada Parker, and Michin. And the best way to describe it, that's how I described it last night, this was 6 great athletes recreating a ladder match. Like if you went to Cirque du Soleil WWE, and they were going to do a ladder match, and you had a bunch of great flips and athletics and everything, but it wasn't like a wrestling match. It was like they just moved from spot to spot to spot. There was no, hit a spot, let it breathe, let the people see what happened. There was so much stuff going on, I couldn't even write down. I just remember seeing like a bunch of flips and moves and everything.
There was no music between those notes.
Zilch. And Kalani won. And,
I did like that, though.
For what it was good. We had Nathan Frazier and Axiom beat Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, which I thought was an excellent tag team title match. Just 2 different styles, but they made it work. And Frazier and Axiom retain. And we'll see who the next challengers are. Lola Vice and Shayna Baszler. Lola won NXT Underground. They worked so hard. And they were pouring sweat. And they were gasping for air. Because working a fake MMA fight, because of the way you have to work it, is significantly harder than working a fake pro wrestling match.
Especially when you have to remember a bunch of spots, too. This wasn't exactly blood sport where you can chain your way through some of it.
You could see them just dying. It was exhaustion, but they got through it. Shayna tripped over someone that she had murdered, hit her head on the metal steps, and then Lola took her to the ring, ground and pound for the ref stoppage. They did the deal where Shayna tried to tackle the referee afterwards because, she was out. It was very, very well done for what they were trying to do. Obafemi beat Wesley and Joe Coffey to retain the North American title, which is a good match. They worked around Obafemi great. Roxanne beat Jordan to retain the women's title, which I thought was a very good match. And then Trick beat Ethan Page in the main event, which was a very basic pro wrestling match. It was good. It wasn't great. Talk more about it after the break. Observer Live.
Your next contest this evening is a hair versus hair match.
You know, I've seen some stuff on the old internet of late.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. This damn internet. Mm-hmm. And people are bringing it up on the board here. People blaming Ethan Page.
What?
For the main event merely being a good match, but not like a great match or anything like that.
Oh, come on.
And I want to say something here, okay?
Do it.
All right.
Learn them.
Well, remember a while ago, we were doing some Observer Radio show, and we were talking about some match involving Trick. And Dave said, well, you know, Trick's just not very good right now. Something like that. Something along those lines. And then, you know, the internet had to go crazy that Dave, how dare he say that Trick's not very good right now. And then, you know, I think might have been right before Trick won the title or something. I can't remember, but, you know, Trick did something and then, you know, kind of brought up, hey, look, I'm the champion or whatever. I don't remember all of it. I try not to pay attention to that stuff because I don't have room in my brain. I don't have enough room in my brain as it is. My brain is just too big. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So anyway, here's the thing, okay?
Uh-huh.
Trick is, like, he's ridiculously over.
Yeah.
He's the most over guy in NXT. He's a great personality. He's a great talker. He's a big success for the brand. And I'm not going to...
Reminds you of you.
I'm not going to sit here and say he's not very good. I don't want to go that far. But he's just new.
How long has he been
He
wrestling
hasn't been
for?
doing this for very long.
No.
So maybe there's a nicer way of explaining this than to say he's not very good.
There is.
But let me tell you something about almost everybody ever in this business, with the exception of Kurt Angle and The Rock. That actually probably is it. Like, no one is any good when they start.
Jack Briscoe.
You're just not any good when you start. Jack Briscoe's different because you know what? The Jack Briscoe's style, he didn't have to do much from what he was doing before he was a wrestler.
Well,
But if you take a gymnast, and Logan Paul, he's pretty good from day one, but that's different because Logan Paul, he had the benefit of, okay, in your first match, you're going to go and you're going to practice for like 9 weeks.
Bad Bunny.
With the greatest workers we can find, and so that doesn't even count either, okay? So Trick has not been doing this all that long. And, some people go, well, it's been 3 years. Well, you know what? Yeah, it has. It's not like it used to be, okay? How many matches he had in 3 years, okay? Actually, a guy who was basically great from day one was Braun Breaker. He's another one.
Well, yeah.
But fact of the matter is, and I've had people say Rocky sucked when he started. So anyway, it wasn't even so much. I should rephrase that. It's not so much that it's not so much that at the very beginning Rock was like great, but it was at the very beginning. People looked at The Rock and they go, that guy's going to be a massive star.
You're over-explaining all this.
I am. Because people are under-explaining what happened with that match. Oh, match not great? Ethan Page must suck. No.
Yeah,
Ethan Page is a very good worker.
Uh-huh.
They had 12 minutes to do a match. That's how much time they had. And they kept it simple because Trick is fairly new. And I thought for what it was a good match. Was it a great match? No. Was it anyone's fault? No. Did something go wrong for it to only be good? No. It was, what do you want out of 12 minutes with Trick Williams? It was fine.
Look at the matches he's had, for heaven's sakes. Look at his best matches. He has been either paired with or going against a incredible athlete in Carmelo Hayes. He had a great, well, I don't know about great, but he had a notable match with Ilya Dragunov. Well, what's Ilya Dragunov known for? Putting himself out there and making guys look great and really building up his opponent. And he absolutely did that. Braun Breaker was another opponent of Trick Williams, and a lot of that revolved around tables matches. So how much can you really learn? A lot of that is just learning, again, it's learning stuff for the next level. Who else has he, wrestled in that time? So when you look at it, it's like, Noam Dar. He actually had a really good match against Noam Dar. What's Noam Dar known for? Looking great. And he's going to have great matches probably with Ethan Page and what's probably going to be a really good storyline between those two. So to call Ethan Page like some bum or look at him that way, or to forget about the fact that Trick Williams still has a lot to learn in this thing, is just being silly and being reactionary and complaining and bitching without standing back really looking at it and going, yeah, you know what? If these two guys do this match next year, I bet you it's a lot better. Just because they're going to be more familiar with each other and Trick's going to be a year better.
Also want to mention that apparently, it might have been the last set of TV tapings, Jordan Grace also had her earring caught on someone's gear and ripped out and her ear was bleeding.
What is your philosophy
on
I'm
going to tell you. I was going to tell you. So I brought it up. When I was young, see if everyone can see this right now.
Uh-huh.
Huh?
What you got there? What you got
Piercings.
there? Nothing. Oh, you do? Oh.
Yeah, when I was young, I did in fact, have pierced ears when I wrestled.
Ooh.
And so I had like one or two in each ear or whatever. But then Tim Flowers, this guy, they went like all the way around. All the way around his ear. So...
And he did it with a needle in the back of a van.
No, here's the point.
Between places.
Here's the point.
Yes.
And maybe it was just the quality of opponent. But, like, nothing ever happened to his earrings. Ever. They lined his ears on each side. Never. Never lost an earring ever, okay? I couldn't do a match with anybody. If I forgot to take the earrings out, they would be torn out of my ear every single solitary time. I never made it through one match without earrings being torn out of my ear. I think I just worked a bunch of crowbars.
Well, also I was wondering about
and fence builders.
Started becoming a thing in the late '90s, early 2000s with a lot of chains and rings and things like that, and it's always to me been something that kind of stands out at a risk. Yes, it can add something to the aesthetic of the wrestler and their costuming and whatnot, but also it's like it could be, to me, kind of dangerous if something gets hung up, and that's a pretty good example of it, and I'm sure it's not the only time that it's happened. One of the nastiest things that I had seen of something getting ripped out was the HF Festival, I think it was 1995, in the pit for Primus at RFK Stadium. And we're going into it, and there's a girl coming out, and she's got somebody on her hand, holding her back, and she comes up like this, and she must have had like the bull ring in the nose, and she just came up, and it was just pouring, and it was the nastiest thing.
Yeah, don't wear stuff like that, guys. Come on,
be careful.
That's the news. So Ricochet appears to be on his way out.
Yeah.
But nothing is official till it's official. So there are a lot of WWE contracts coming due that we've been hearing about, and there are a lot of AEW contracts coming due as well. And part of the reason we're hearing about a lot of WWE ones lately is I was told that this new company now is TKO, and so they're letting a lot of deals expire so that they can essentially, you're now going to be signed to TKO contracts.
And they can announce them as such.
Yes, so that's part of this. But he appears to be on his way out. He has given notice, and of course, till he's signed somewhere, he can always change his mind. But it appears that Ricochet may be on his way out. And that leaves the big names, Becky Lynch, who my presumption is re-signing. Drew McIntyre is re-signed. Seth Rollins is re-signed. Chad Gable, I'm thinking, is going to re-sign. We'll probably find out quite soon, in fact, as he's going after that Intercontinental title this coming Saturday at the Clash at the Castle. So we shall see.
Good for Ricochet. He's 35 years old. Whatever deal he signs is going to be between 3 and 5 years long, in all likelihood. And at this point, I'm sure hopefully for his sake, he saved some money. I don't know what his relationship is with Samantha Irvin, if they're married or what it is, but, if you have some combined income there, she's stable. And, in entertainment and in pro wrestling, at least it used to be the case in pro wrestling, you might be away from your family for a couple of days because, you got a job and your significant other has a job and you don't have kids, especially if you don't have kids. Like, that's how it works. And I know a lot of, attention has gone on in the last couple of years. You want to put people on the same brand and things like that, and that's a good thing. But he knows her schedule. And if he's comfortable working in AEW at what is probably going to be, unless something dramatically changes, a much lighter schedule, then, hey, go for it. This might be the last chance he has to not only do this, but go to Dragon Gate or go back to New Japan, 2 places where he was a star in, and go back and put some work in before he's 40 years old and the chance of his body starting to decline happens.
All right, so tonight on Raw, we have got Braun Breaker versus Ilya Dragunov, which should be excellent. Sami Zayn faces Otis, which if given time should be excellent. And a rematch of a match that actually was pretty excellent. Lyra and Io Sky. Lyra, of course, beat Io in the Queen of the Ring tournament, so it's a rematch here. Tomorrow for NXT, we got the return of Wendy Chu, Michin and Jada Parker, Shawn Spears versus Javon Evans. Javon Evans better win that match.
Mm-hmm.
And Lexis King versus Dante Chen in a Singapore Kane match.
All right.
Then Dynamite on Wednesday. Will Ospreay against Phoenix. Mercedes against Zeuxis for the TBS title. Title's on the line. Chris Jericho and Private Party in TV time. Dustin Rhodes, Jack Perry, TNT qualifier, and Roosh in action. Back in a moment with Vinnie Pacifico, Observer Live.
That is the greatest view in the world, as you could probably all see. And there's nothing in this world after I see that view that can annoy me. Vince, on your worst day, after I look at the view, you could not annoy me with anything you did. Now, I think that before we look at the rest of the house here, look at all the rooms, we should take a tour of the... Please stop looking at me. The tour of the grounds, because there's like 164 acres here, and we should get through all that before we look at all the other stuff. We'll look at the grounds, come back in here, we'll look at the recreational area, we'll look at the swimming pool, the spa, and the movie room. Some of you probably think that I'm just doing this to brag, because like I said, there's like, I don't know, 140 acres on this, I call it the ranch. But there's actually a reason that we're coming out here today, and that is because there's something buried out here. And it's going to be unearthed today in this video for the first time ever. It's like Al Capone's tomb, Al Capone's whatever that Geraldo Rivera did. That's what we're doing today. And so, Vince, let's go. Listen, buried in this spot right here, where I have the stick marking it, is the very first wrestling newsletter. Before the Observer, before the Wrestling Flyer, before the Wrestling Eye, before the Bagpipe Report, before all of them. In fact, probably before most newsletters that were ever written. It is buried in this spot. And I know that most of you who have watched this today and seen my opulence probably think that I have never done a day of hard, menial labor in my life. Never sweated under the hot, boiling sun, never toiled. The fact is, somebody had to dig this hole. Dude, dig, the sun's going down.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com.
Mm-hmm.
At some point here soon, hopefully, Vinnie Pacifico is going to be on the show.
Apparently, he's too busy tweeting about the fact he was just interviewed by Freddie Prinze Jr. Brian, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, I just heard about that. We're going to find out here in just a second.
Has Freddie Prinze ever interviewed you?
Oh,
Have you ever interviewed Freddie Prinze?
Let's see. I think we got an
Junior.
incoming call right here.
Oh, come
Vinny,
on.
that you?
Yes.
We're
How you doing,
live.
Brian?
We're live, brother.
Thought we were going to get big timed.
We're live, pal.
Sounds great. Thank you for having me. I'm very sorry. My Skype was just acting up.
It's acting up right now because you're sideways. Let's
Oh.
get a shot of that, Jared. Oh,
we
man,
go.
I liked it better the other way. What's going on?
Doing very well. How are you guys?
I just saw that you were just interviewed by Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yeah.
Why'd
Just
you
really
bother coming on
yeah.
this show after that?
Yeah.
It worked out pretty perfectly, though. You know, yeah. It was really awesome. It was very fun, very good opportunity, and I'm happy to be on here too.
Well, what did he tell you? What kind of scoops did you get?
I didn't get any scoops, but he was a really big fan of my character, which is really cool to hear and very affirming. He loves the energy drink stuff that I've been doing. He loves my name, which is funny because he thought it was a stage name, but it's my real name. So it's really funny to hear that.
Well, wait a second. Hold on a second. I don't want to break kayfabe here, and I don't want to say anything if I shouldn't. But is your first name actually Vinny?
No, it's George Vincent.
Okay, because it's funny. I don't know exactly what happened right here. I don't understand all this stuff, but I went to search for you on Skype, and I was typing in George, in the name thingamajigger, and George Clooney came up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Close enough, right?
I may try and call him after the show, I guess. I don't know how it came up.
That's funny.
Are there any
great.
degrees of separation that we can now go through because of Freddie Prinze and George Clooney in wrestling?
Yeah, that was really bizarre.
What a combo, huh?
But anyway, yeah. So the energy drinks, you're still sucking those down. Those aren't good for you.
I know. Listen. I do try and dilute them when I have a chance with the water. I put them in water, so it's not as bad. I've been weaning down on my energy drinks intake. May or may not be lying.
You're lying. Of course you're lying.
I will say, listen, G Fuel, the drinks personally, they're all vitamins. So it is a pretty good way to get some vitamins in with some caffeine, natural caffeine. That's right. It's my go-to usually.
So I need to know more about this energy. We talked about this a little bit last time, but do you have an actual sponsorship?
Yes.
You do?
So I believe when we talked last year, I was just signed by Bang Energy, I believe.
I think you had just gotten some. Yeah, I think you just switched over.
Yes. So Bang had me. They signed me off of a wrestling spot I did in Oregon. Got signed from Bang. Bang went through some legal stuff. They dropped all the sponsorship deals, and then G Fuel scooped me up pretty much immediately after that.
Okay. Now, we probably asked about this before, and I may have even mentioned this exact same story before, but years and years and years and years and years ago, I had Claudio Castagnoli on this show.
Okay.
And he had a sponsorship with Headblade. You shave your head, Headblade.
Okay.
And at the time, I was like, wait a second, you have someone is sponsoring you? Because he's just like an indie guy. And
that's so cool.
All these indie guys, they sell their shirts and everything like that. But it was kind of like, how in the world did you get us? Because no one had sponsorships, like a handful of people. But it always kind of seemed like, how did you get that? And then I think it was the same thing I was kind of wondering with you. First off, I think the bigger question is, why don't more people go for sponsorships? I mean, it seems like, not that it's easy. I mean, it's not easy, but it seems like there's so many different gimmicks in wrestling. It seems like most people should be able to find something that they could get as a sponsorship, as an indie
part of their
person.
Hustle.
Yeah.
Brian, I agree. People ask me all the time how I did it or how do I do it. And it's very hard to give advice about that because for me, it was circumstance, right? I had a match. I used the drink in the match. The clip went viral on social media. And then that week I had a contract in my email from Bang. And then but a lot of these companies are seeing what each other are doing, right? So once Bang ended, G Fuel kind of knew that was happening and then they signed me immediately. So now my name is circling around that energy drink industry. So that's how that builds. It's very hard just to give a blueprint answer about how to get sponsored somewhere. But for me, I was blessed with the opportunity just happening naturally, right? Which is a beautiful thing. But people should be seeking these things because it's ways to grow your brand and ways to make money and ways to just be different in indie wrestling. Indie wrestling has grown so much over the years. And I feel like at this point, it can be lucrative, it can be. So I believe that chase whatever, if it works with the character or it's just something you like to do, go for a sponsorship deal. And I tell people all the time, people could always say no, and that's the worst you'll get, right? You could message Nike or whoever you might ask. It might be a yes, it may be a no, but you can't be worried about the no. And you know what I mean? You can't let that affect you, or you can't let that take.
So what did you do in Oregon to get recognized?
So it was IWTV. I posted the clip too, so that helped. So pretty much started out with the character I would just come out with energy drinks, holding them, going to the ring with them. And then eventually,
But anything in particular? Was it just whatever energy drink you got at 7-Eleven?
We had double down in the middle of the ring. The referee was counting. I crawled to the corner, got the drink, cracked it open, and did a whole really cool comeback in sequence with intensity and fire.
Okay.
And posted that, and then it circled around online, and then that's when the contract came in that week. And yeah, so
was it a Bang energy that you used
No.
for your spinach? It was just a random.
it was Rockstar.
How about that?
Yeah, you see
How about
that? It was Rockstar.
See, the reason I ask is because Tom and I had a match against the Bang Bros. Okay.
Okay, I love them.
Yeah, and this did not end up with a Bang Bros sponsorship. This ended up with Bang Bros sending a cease and desist.
About
So
yeah,
I think
exactly.
that it's kind of like it's sort of, you want to find some way to get your name out there, but if you do it the wrong way, all of a sudden you don't have a team name anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was wondering what the actual drink was that you downed.
It was Rockstar, but I made sure to message Davey and just tell him, listen, this happened. I'm not taking from you in any way. I just hope I didn't want to offend him or make him feel that type of way. And he was cool with it. He was very cool. It was just, I'm grateful he was cool about that because I don't want to be somebody who just, take something. So I made sure to reach out to him prior.
Now, wrestling got you the sponsorship. Since you got the sponsorship, has it gotten you more attention? I mean, obviously you've gotten more attention on social media and things like that, but has it led to more bookings? Has it led to more opportunities for you?
I would say, yeah. I would say yes. A lot of people, I'm very lucky to be in the spot that I'm in right now where I'm getting a lot of overseas bookings for August. And it definitely helped at the time. I was really blowing up at the time when it first happened. And luckily that still sails and still carries. But I would say it has something to do with it, but I'm trying very hard to make sure I just keep everything else in line, like my body, my in-ring ability, my promo ability, all that stuff also. That's very important as well. But also having a sponsorship deal and a company that cares about what you're doing and a company that is repping you is very important. And they have a huge fan base as well behind. They have 3 million followers on Instagram and they have 1.6 million on Twitter. So if they share my stuff or they comment on it, that brings that meshes audiences, and that's something that I believe is huge for pro wrestling and huge for me because now we're having fans of G Fuel, and G Fuel fans consist of superheroes or anime, and they intertwine with pro wrestling. It's a beautiful combination, in my opinion.
I can't help but notice that you won that $50,000 tournament.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And I bought
Not bad.
tons of energy drinks with it.
What?
No.
Trying to do the math right here.
I was going to say, I get a $50,000 Starbucks gift card, so I understand.
That's 16,666 energy drinks by my calculations here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very good math.
I have a calculator here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I bring it up because, you're getting a lot of dates of late. And I think the last time we talked to you, I think you were just about to go for New Japan.
Yes, I debuted for New Japan the next week, I believe, right?
Yes.
Goldie, yeah.
I believe so. Yeah.
That was really, really phenomenal. That was such a great moment for me. And from there, I got to do a lot of other cool things. And later that year, I went to Japan for Taka Michinoku. So
that's right. So your New Japan date was a New Japan date in America. You did not go to Japan, but then later you did actually go to Japan for those dates.
Yes. And went very well. I learned a lot while out there. The crowd, I mentioned on the Freddie podcast, the fans in Japan are just so different and so appreciative of everything we do in the ring, right? They care so much about just everything you do matters. So for example, every time I crawled to the drink or every time I did a chop or a certain strike, they would react a certain way to it. You'll hear something every time you do something. And that helps in a match. That's very, very beneficial as a talent to be able to hear your audience and feel your audience doing everything you're doing, So that's something I really enjoyed about Japan. But something that I'm really excited for and very curious about, because I'm debuting in Finland in August. And there's not much wrestling in Finland. So I'm very excited and curious to know how that crowd will be.
That seems like a crowd where you're going to do the first body slam and they're going to start screaming because someone took a bump. You know what I'm saying?
New Ludwig Borga.
Yes.
Oh my God, he fell down. I mean, I'm sure they know what it is, but when you go to a live event, No,
Like
no.
a country full of rooms.
Listen,
Brian?
no, you idiot. Sometimes you go to like a live event and it's in kind of like a small town. And like people are aware of wrestling and they're wrestling fans or whatever, but they don't get a lot of wrestling. It's not like they've got a Defy or you know, whatever.
Every
This
week,
could be
yeah.
a
One
bunch
of the local
people,
ones
a
you-
bunch of locals in
DOA,
wooden shoes,
DOA,
you know?
local kind of this coast. But you know they don't get a lot of WWE coming, or they don't have a local indie or whatever. And so when they go, they're just like there to have a good time, and they understand what wrestling is. But you know that first match, you know they do a couple of easy spots or whatever, and then all of a sudden someone takes like some big bump and they go crazy.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, a bump!
It's the best.
Yeah, that is
Nice
the best.
Shoulder tackle, place goes nuts.
Yes,
Right?
yes. Yeah, that first tackle bump, they always go crazy for that. Just a tackle.
First one.
Yep.
See, and there goes why do some people want to go on first? That's why.
That
There's
is
a fresh
exactly
crowd.
why.
Yeah,
That's
I love going
exactly
first.
why.
I love it.
Yep. Because if you go to a place and nobody knows who you are, okay? If you're on 7th, I mean, by that time they've seen all sorts of stuff. Now they're like, I've seen 6 matches. Now I don't even know who this guy is. Like, I'm going to sit here till he does something cool. But if you go somewhere where nobody knows who you are and you're in the opener, like they're ready for some wrestling. You can do nothing and they go crazy.
Yeah, especially with the announcers really good too, and they get the crowd amped.
Yep.
That first entrance, they going crazy.
So
Great.
what did you learn? You know, you mentioned you learned a lot in Japan. What did you learn in terms of like just the work?
Well, I was trained by Ring of Honor, so I was taught a lot about technical wrestling, and I don't do it enough in America. I feel like I do it a good amount, but I want to do it more. But I made sure to do it a bit in Japan, and I made sure just to feel the audience. And I just learned that. What I learned, first of all, how hard they hit in Japan. I'm sure you know.
Yes.
Or heard about it. It's insane. But I love it. I love that gritty style of wrestling, you know. But it was very gritty, very hard hitting, and just a different way of psychology of matches. You know, I adapted, but the way they view a match or put a match together is just different than how it's done here. I would say that. I don't know how much I could really explain that, but the way they think about a pro wrestling match is just different than we put it here usually.
Yes. Okay, well, hold on. Stand by. We'll be back in a moment with more Observer Live.
Vinny, good job, dude. This is it. It's in this box. This is the very first newsletter that was ever written. I have it in the Bible here. This is where I keep it. I actually keep it pressed between the pages of the book of Job, because Job and I have a lot in common as far as being tested by the Lord each day. This is the Flying Mare. This newsletter was written, as you can see right here, in the 17th century. This was actually written by my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, Perfecto. And that is damn true. This dude wrote this thing, The Flying Mare, containing a perfect collection of the proceedings in wrestling and true information from the armies. There's even a picture of Máscara Año 2000 here on the back, before he'd had his first main event. This thing is a treasure. This thing is gonna be. I'm gonna sell this to a museum someday. This is like the Gutenberg Bible. This thing is epic. Hey, Vince, what the hell are you doing? Hold that. Vince? God! Vince, let's just go. I thought we would start the tour of the inside of the facilities with the most important room in the house. This is Vince's kitchen. This is where Vince cooks my chicken tenders, my buffalo chicken wings, my mesquite chicken, my teriyaki chicken, basically all the chicken. And of course, it's got here the microwave. The microwave. And of course, here the oven for oven roasted chicken, shake and bake. Of course, it's got all the grill here, whatever on top, all the buttons that you cook with. And of course, we've got the fully stocked fridge and freezer. Basically, all the amenities that one would need to cook for me. And in fact, now would be a good time for a chicken breast.
You flew by. We need to go longer next time, Vinny. But
Yes,
I want to give you a chance here before we're completely out of time. This trip to Finland, this is just the beginning of a leg. Where are you going?
So I'm wrestling in Helsinki, Finland, Slam Wrestling. Great company, great people involved. I'm there from the 3rd, 9th, and 10th of Finland. I'm also wrestling in the Helsinki Metal Festival while I'm out there.
Wow.
Really cool. And then from there, I go to London. I got a couple shows in London, in the area of maybe southern London and southern England and eastern England. And then I go from there to France, Boulogne, France, for HCP Catch.
Wow. And then you've got another one coming up with 3 more completely random places to go.
Oh my gosh! In November, we're planning a tour in Amsterdam, Romania, and Hungary, and possibly some other Germany as well. So it's in the works, but I'm very excited for this. I love wrestling. I love wrestling wherever I can, and I love seeing beautiful new places and different crowds around the world. So I'm very excited for these 2 tours coming up. It's very, very excited for the one coming up in August, though. That's going to be cool.
It is amazing because it's 2024. And when you're telling me about these places you're going to tour in Romania and Hungary, it's like we're doing an interview in like 1896. Vinnie Pacifico will be in Hungary, followed by a tour of Romania. Well, listen, dude, best of luck. We're out of time. We got to do this again, but thank you so much. And very quickly, Twitter, X.
Twitter X, Vinnie Pacifico on Twitter, Facebook Vinnie Pacifico, and Instagram Vinnie Pacifico 1. No,
Easy.
Vinnie Pacifico 1 on Twitter, sorry.
Vinnie Pacifico 1 on Twitter. Go follow him, everybody. And that's it. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live.